And the thing is, if you don't go after your dream, it's just going to stay a dream, so you have to really tackle it, and we know the reality that not everything that you want will come into the way you see it. But if you don't go after it, how would you know? Matter of fact, sometimes the way you imagine things is going to come out even better than what it is that you've imagined.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, just definitely not going after it. I feel like spending time away from it will be more detrimental than it is you doing it.
That was Soledad Maurice, founder of Bold Minds, which is a mentorship program in New York City. And I am so excited for you guys to hear her story about being bold and never settling for safe. You're listening to episode 9 of
The Gold Mine Podcast.
As women, we have to invest that time in getting to understand who we are.
Be ambitious, be bold, create the life of your dreams. This is the Gold Mine Podcast with your host, Adrian Dion.
What's up, beautiful people? I hope everyone is having a great week so far. Today is Tuesday. We are already in June, you guys. That's crazy. 6 months in, and I hope everyone is having a fantastic year so far and are planning to kill it the rest of the year. Thank you to each and every single person who's taken the time to listen. I don't even know, I really appreciate it. I'm really excited about this show today because Soledad is such a beacon of light, and I can't wait for you guys to hear her story. We won't even do a bio. We'll just jump right in. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Adrian. I appreciate just being here. Thank you.
I'm happy that you're happy.
Yes.
So normally I like to read the bio, but I really want to talk about it with you. So if you don't
Okay.
mind, I'll start out with just reading the bio a little bit.
Absolutely. No
All right. So Soledad, also known as Soleil, was born in Brooklyn, New York. Around the age of 12, she moved to Uniondale, Long Island. There, she was heavily involved in her parents' church and became a youth leader at her church at 16 and enjoyed mentoring and being around children. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm a PK, so I grew up in
I,
church as well.
I am a PK as well.
Okay. I
Yeah.
know a lot of, were you like wild and crazy or
I
anything like
w- I wasn't. I was in the middle.
so?
But I wasn't wild and crazy.
I feel like I wasn't either. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people were like, "Oh, you're a PK. You're probably like a wild
Yeah.
child." I I
hmm
wasn't.
You know what's crazy? I remember a lot of my friends, because my parents were strict. A lot of my friends said, "Oh, wait till you go away to college. You're gonna wild out and act crazy." That was the complete opposite. Complete
Oh
opposite.
God.
Matter of fact, all my friends were the crazy ones, and they had all the freedom in the world in high school. And it's like I was definitely the much more conservative one, but like not too conservative. Not.
Yeah.
But I was definitely like not the wild and crazy person in
Yeah.
college. I wasn't.
So my
Yeah.
parents, I grew up in an apostolic church, and so it's
Oh,
super
okay.
strict, and we didn't wear pants or
Yep.
like makeup or anything like that. So, but my parents weren't strict. Like it
Uh,
wasn't like I couldn't go anywhere or do anything. Like for me, I always felt like the outsider at church because I had a lot more leeway than a lot of the other kids at the
oh,
church. It was like, you
wow.
know,
Uh-huh.
um, but yeah, so that was crazy. But yeah, I wasn't wild and crazy. I feel like I was a regular teen.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
I don't feel like I missed out on anything in my childhood, you know?
yeah, that's the
So yeah,
good thing.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, and so it goes on to say that her love for children made her seek a career in education. And in
Mhm.
2012, she became a middle school teacher and was highly rated as an effective teacher. So how
Yeah.
old were you at the age when you became a middle school teacher?
I was 24 years old.
Oh, okay.
20, 24, 25, turning 25.
Okay.
Yes.
All
Yes,
right.
yes. Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about I know you chose it because of that, but was it kind of like Did you always want to be a teacher?
No, 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 no. Actually, when I got my bachelor's, I actually wanted to do physical therapy and occupational therapy. Now, the crazy thing is, like, I end up getting I was going to school. Let me start here. I got my bachelor's in rehabilitation services, which is in the same field within physical therapy, occupational therapy. So I had a gist as far as like where I wanted to go. So as soon as I graduated, I got accepted to Long Island University in Brooklyn, and I was studying occupational therapy. So out of, the different fields, I was like, all right, I'm gonna focus on occupational therapy. But during that time, from when I graduated college till August, when, that summer,
Mm-hmm.
so from May to August, I was chosen to help out this gospel group, right? So I was doing public relations work without knowing it was public relations. I was their secretary, but I ended up doing public relations work. I know I kind of step off, but I'm gonna get to where. But I'm
No,
gonna let
you're
you know.
fine. You're fine.
It's like I can't leave this out because it's like it plays a very important role of how I got into teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So while I was at Long Island University, I was still helping that group, traveling different places, and I was still working in the field of rehabilitation services. So I'm going to school for occupational therapy and doing all this extra stuff. So at the end of that first year of my grad school year, I got kicked out because of my grades. And it's because I was so focused on a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And a teacher came and told me, like, and they told us from day one, you cannot work and be in this program. Mind you, I was working and I was doing, managing this group. I'm 21 at the time. I'm
Oh my
like, you're
God.
not gonna stop me. Like, this is what I love doing it, and plus we're traveling. Man, it was crazy. But like, when they told us that, I didn't tell them that I was working, so it showed in my grades because I was super tired. And at the time I was living in Brooklyn, and I would travel to Long Island to work, go to all these different engagements, different churches that they were performing at, and help out and do different things there. And then it showed in my grades. And at the end of that school year, in when the school year ends in May, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of that time, when I failed, they got me a tutor. They tried to help. They got me a tutor, and it helped. It helped, but it wasn't enough because I kept doing what I was doing. I was not paying attention to
Right.
my friends, like that I'm still in contact with now, will tell you, like, yo, this girl was sleeping in class, and like, they'll tell you these things. But I was still, still on top of my work, but not as like I'm supposed to. So at the end of that year, a teacher told me that I may have a learning disability. That's why I failed. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
this was
I,
grad school?
this was grad school.
Oh,
Grad school.
okay.
So when I got kicked out of the program, man, that's when everything, mind you, I'm not thinking of teaching. I'm not thinking of, I was just depressed, upset, sad, mad, anything you could think of. Like, I was just like, how can this, like, this is what I wanted to do. I graduated college, went straight to do my master's. Now I'm here at a point where, man, what I'm gonna do. And I know I wanted to get my master's, and but it's crazy because while working, I changed my position where I was working. I had a little bit more flexible schedule now. So my boyfriend, we're still together. His aunt told him about this teaching fellows program. Mind you, I was applying now. I was changing it to speech therapy now.
Mm-hmm.
I got accepted to Hunter University, and even through that application process, I felt like I couldn't do it because what that teacher echoed in my head stayed with me
Mm-hmm.
for years. It stayed with me for years. So it was not until 2 years later, 2 or 3 years later, when I started applying for grad school again. So I got accepted to the colleges. I got accepted to Adelphi University, which is like one of the top schools in Long Island, or in New York State. And I was like, Dag, for me to get accepted into this school says a lot. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not stupid, So,
Wow.
so I went to that. I stayed in that class for one day, out for speech therapy, one day. And then my boyfriend was like, why are you doing this? Like, why? Like, when someone could see something in you, but you can't see enough in yourself.
Right.
And that's point, like, having certain people in your life that could kind of guide you in the right direction. And then he was like, why are you sitting in that class? Like, there's other things, I see you doing something else. I knew that for myself, but then it's like I've proven myself, like I could get into Adelphi. I'm in this class, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really thinking rationally that I could do other things other than just speech therapy or occupational therapy or whatever. But there was this program called Teaching Fellows where you would go through this intensive class in becoming a teacher, for you to teach in the you'll be part of this program for 3 years. You don't have to pay for college, and then you'll be teaching in the classroom by that September. So I applied for the program, and the thing is, it hit me while I was applying for the program. I was like, I've been around kids all this time. I've been doing stuff in the church with the youth all this time. I was like, it's no brainer for me to be in the classroom, to teach. And then through that, and it was so much better because it's for free. Like I don't have to pay for my master's like I was doing for LIU, So it's like, there's a little stipend, like they take out something, out your paycheck, but you don't really see it, So it was because of that program. My boyfriend and his aunt, like they told me about the program, and then I went for it, got accepted, and then in that classroom, man, like I feel like though that was like the most important point in my journey, in my life journey, because it taught me so much, other than the job that I was doing before when I was working with individuals with disability. The job that I left to become a teacher, like between those two jobs, taught me so much about organization, about professionalism, about just so much that I learned in it, in those jobs. And just becoming a teacher just taught me, like, man, if I could do this job, if I could teach, I can do anything, because teaching is not easy. It's not an easy job. And, yeah, I just found myself just doing it, and I excelled to the point where, just the 3 years that I was in that particular school, I was a data analyst. I was the step coach. I did STEM. I partnered with NYU, New York University, to bring STEM into the program for underprivileged individuals in my school. So I excelled so much. But the thing is, when I got into teaching, I knew that I wasn't going to teach for a long time. I knew I wasn't going to be in the classroom for a long time. So it just happened where it happened quicker than I thought it would. So yeah, so that time of me teaching in middle school, I've made, an impact. And I could say that without being like so cocky or so, but I've definitely made an impact, because it shows on paper, it shows in my attitude, and it shows by what other people say about me while teaching, and
Right.
and just the things. So it's like I can't go off of what I'm saying. I know I'm saying this and that, but it's because of the way I did a lot of things, in the classroom, and the innovative skills, the innovative activities that I've brought into the classroom, and then it just opened up a lot of doors for me.
Right.
What I can do, what I know I can do,
Right.
So
Right.
it as with teaching, the craziness that I've been through with that, and what I could bring into my own self and invest into me, just kind of just opened up the doors for me mentally of what I could get myself into,
Right. And so that's what one of the things that you were saying is that, and I want to make sure the listeners understand, is that by somebody telling you something, a lot of times we don't even think about what we're thinking. We don't know what we're thinking. And
Yeah.
so you actually took a whole left turn based off of what somebody else told you about yourself. So you
Yeah.
were actually proving something to this teacher by applying to speech
Mm-hmm.
therapy and doing that type of thing, when that
Yeah.
wasn't even something that you really wanted, but you wanted to prove that to the teacher. So I just
Yeah.
want to make that, make sure, like, a lot of times when we're doing things and we have these goals, they don't work out because of the
Mm-hmm.
motive behind them. And
Yeah.
so you have to think about, why do I
Yeah.
want to achieve this goal? And then the other thing that you were saying is that, I like that you were saying, is that your failure actually, a lot of times when people say, people don't like to change their minds. They think
No.
that changing their minds means that you failed at something, or,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different things. But
Yeah.
because of you changing your mind and taking a whole different course,
Mm-hmm.
you were able to learn so much more, and it actually got you to where you are now. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So I want to
Definitely.
talk a little bit about your Haitian, correct?
Uh-huh.
And I want to talk a little bit about that. So I know you said that Haitians, and I don't know a lot about, but maybe you can speak on it a little bit, but entrepreneurship is not a Haitian thing.
No.
Okay.
No. No, it's really not. It's they'll say it, right? Oh, you should do this, do that, but then when it comes to you actually doing it, it's like what? You have this all these other options. Why
Hmm.
don't you go with that? My family wanted me to get into nursing or radiologist or something like that,
Yeah, yeah.
but I couldn't. I just
Yeah.
I know for a fact I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is my mom, she's a great businesswoman because she knows how to sell to people.
Hmm.
Like that's one thing, she knows how to sell to people. So but then it's like we don't expand on those gifts that you have,
Hmm.
that can make you the money that you're looking for, or can give you the impact that you're looking for in this world. But we rather go the conventional way,
Right.
the traditional way. So it's so going from teaching in the classroom and then completely leaving that and then just starting my entrepreneurial journey through public relations and with the youth organization that I have, it you really do see people real like
Yeah.
their real character towards you,
Yeah.
so
So
it was
before you go into that, I just want
Mhm.
to like make sure I'm piecing all the pieces together. So
Okay.
you had a great job.
Uh-huh.
You were making good money.
Yes, over 65 a year.
Okay. Over
Yeah.
65 a year,
Yeah.
and life was good.
Yeah,
You
it
were
was.
you still working with the other organization?
No, I stopped that.
Okay.
I stopped working with them around before I started teaching. I
Okay.
stopped. Yeah,
Okay.
with that.
All
Yeah, yeah,
right. And so, but that was something that you did like doing
yeah,
that public relation thing. You knew you
yeah,
liked it. So,
yeah.
okay. And so you had experience in that. So why in the world would you leave a job that was paying over $65,000 a year? Like what happened to make you just say, I don't want to do this anymore?
It started with just a conversation, right? So January 1st, when you go to church and it's like, you're at church and New Year's come,
Yeah.
and so afterwards I was having a conversation with my sister-in-law. At that time she wasn't my sister-in-law. She, her sister was dating my brother, so we just really good friends. We knew each other for so long. And she's at that time she was on the verge of becoming a lawyer. So she was in law school, and we was having a conversation just about teaching. She was asking me how that's going. Mind you, I didn't think I was going to leave that year. So January of 2015, right? So she told me, mind you, knowing how hard I put my time in the classroom and the time that I devoted to being, doing so well as a teacher, she was telling me that there's people in DC that's in the White House that's sitting on these boards, making these decisions for teaching, and they probably only taught for 1 year, and then they're making X amount of dollars, and they're making these decisions for people like me in the classroom, and I'm here like, what? Like, I don't know why it didn't click, but it just didn't make any sense to me. I'm here like, I'm working hard as heck, and there's these other people who makes a decision of what I can do in the classroom, and I'm just like, and they're making a lot more money than I am. I'm
Mm-hmm.
here like, how they don't even know what's going on in these inner cities, and for them to come and make these decisions in the classroom for me, and that just and it just started with just that one conversation, and from then on I started thinking like, I'm here busting my behind, waking up 3 in the morning to make sure these paper are graded, like make sure I have the right items that I need for the day or whatever, and busting my behind. I'm here like, this doesn't make any sense. So that caused me to research other programs that I could get into over the summer, what I can get into so I can make that impact,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I could be in that building to make these decisions. Only for the summertime, I wasn't even thinking of leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And then as time went, I started applying to these different jobs, applying to these different organizations, different fellowships, and none of them were not, they just were not accepting me. And I'm here like, and crazy enough, I'm here thinking, are they dumb? Like, why are they not accepting me? Like, do they not know my background or what I could bring and what I can bring to the table? I don't know where this confidence came from, but through all of these rejection, it just gave me strength. You know, or in 2015, I was applying to all of these, and not only that, I was getting back feedback like, oh, we would love for you to apply, you know, in the later, you know, the next program, or, you know, another time. But right now, you know, so getting all of these rejection letters from these high prestigious programs, and it was like stuff in the White House, you know. So they're not choosing me, and I'm just like, are they crazy? Like, do they not know who I am? And I'm here like, the Chancellor of New York City gave me high reviews of how I was in classroom when I was teaching one summer. So I know what I'm doing is like very impactful. So that just showed me, all right, these people are not really trying to have someone that's really doing it in this. So little by little, I just started having that. I was just missing what I was doing for that gospel group, you know, for that group before, that PR stuff. So I'm here like, dag, I want to do that again. That's where I was happy, you know. And not only that, stuff was happening in the school where it just made me like just not want to wake up to go to work.
Right.
And it got to that point where I cannot do this anymore. So it started from me doing the application. So I didn't get the rejection letters till later on. So even before the rejection, I was just getting that feeling like, I can't do this no more. This, you know, I was having issues with people at work for no apparent reason. It was so weird. And not only that, I was teaching STEP just for me to bring them to different competitions was like, it was like I'm pulling teeth. Like, I'm like, they don't want to see these kids do more than just what they could see inside the classroom. Just stuff like that. It was just killing me. And that's my creativity. Like, I just love doing that. And then they're starting my growth, you know? So it's just that little things that was unraveling layer by layer. And it's not like I was looking for me to leave, but it just pushed me like, nope, I'm done. I can't. Because it was just like, you know, the things that I was seeing happening, just it was just not happening the way that for me to grow, you know, for me to grow where I was as a teacher. So you know, so I end up just, you know, matter of fact, when there was a teaching fellows performance. They was looking for a performing team, like a step team or a band or something like that. And the guy that came to see the girls audition or to see them perform, he was in a popular group that's huge on YouTube called HATV. And he told me about their group, and they were looking for somebody to do PR stuff for them. And I was like, oh snap. I was like, I have experience doing it. And then we exchanged numbers, the kids perform, and then the last day of me teaching, that's when I knew I wasn't coming back. You know, so I knew in 2015, January 2015, that a change was going to happen. But then I would say more like March, that's when I knew I was like, I'm done. Like, you know, I was just miserable, frustrated. I was becoming bitter. I was going to become like those other, you know, those bitter teachers that just don't know how to speak to kids. Although I wasn't doing that, but I was like, if I continue this way, this is what's going to happen, you know? And the thing is, I knew I wasn't going to be in the classroom for a long time. I just didn't know how I was going to impact kids. Cause I know that's my calling, the youth, you know, working with kids, but I knew it just couldn't be in the classroom setting, you know? So from there,
You ended up leaving.
I ended up.
So you left knowing you weren't coming back, and then
Mm-hmm.
you had this opportunity to do public relations with this
Yeah.
other group, and so
Yeah.
you just
Yes.
okay, so you just left and went that way.
Exactly.
So,
But I got behind a little bit, like in June, right? Remember I told you about LIU, and what happened with that teacher, what that teacher told me, that professor. There was like a task, like a committee that I was in at my school, the middle school that I was teaching at, and they wanted us to do college bound trips where we could take them to different schools and you know, have the kids experience what college is like, ask questions. So not obviously nobody not knowing what I went through at LIU. Everyone's like, well, LIU is just down the block, which is true. LIU is not far from the school's walking distance. We could go there and show the kids around. At that time, I was like, I do not want to go back there. Like, you know, so we end up, while going there, you know, I had a moment. Like, while we were there at the building, we literally walked. So or did we take the train? We took the train and then walked after, because it wasn't far. So I had a moment where I'm here, like, wow, I'm back at the school right outside the building where that whole thing went down in the elevator when he said, I think you might have a learning disability or something like that. And I'm just there watching the kids, and I'm just like thanking God of how far I've come. You know, the ability for me to do this trip right now with a group of kids, and just knowing how well I've done throughout the years as a teacher. And it just showed me that I didn't allow that situation to stop me, because I kept going after that. Even though I didn't really know what I wanted to do or how I was going to do it, I just kept moving.
Okay.
You know, I just moving and just kept going. And then, you know, even at that moment, I knew I wasn't coming back to teaching, but I was happy. I was content. I was happy for what I've done up to this point. You know, so it just showed me that, you know, I did a great thing, you know, and I'm back at this school with these kids. And I know for a fact that a lot of these kids were impacted by, you know, what I've done in the classroom, and even they have impacted me. So, so at that moment in June was like that moment where, wow, this is going to be last year doing this. And yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so when you left your job and you went to start doing being a publicist for this group, were you making good money or
No.
okay.
I wasn't getting paid at all.
Okay.
so
Okay.
so when I was doing that with them, I was just learning, trying to learn as
Mm-hmm.
much as I can, because this is not the someone's gonna hold my hand type of thing like when I first got out of college, or I'm
Right.
working with the gospel group. It was completely different. So you know what I did? I went to a community college by my house, and I took 2 courses in public relations. Matter of fact, I have the book right here. I have the book right here. And honestly, like, for some reason the class didn't help me. I had to be hands-on. I had to be in. I actually dropped one of the classes, which is for a whole different situation. But here's a crazy and amazing thing that happened in the public relations class that I stuck through the whole time. While I am being a publicist for this group, I'm in this class. I've never been so into a subject or so into class like I've been at that at that time, because you know you're actually doing what you're going to school for.
Right.
You know what you're taking that one class for. And I don't want to say I didn't learn anything, but I really tried to see what I could apply in this class, to apply it when I'm working with this group, because they're asking me questions and I'm here Googling, like, you know, trying to figure things out. But at the end of the class, like at the very last day of the class, I asked the professor, I asked him a legitimate question, because I'm going through it at that moment. And I'm thinking, the professor, he's a public relations teacher, so he should know any question that I have.
Right.
He should be answer it, right? So I asked him a question and I told him what I'm doing. And then he said, wow, Soledad, you're doing a lot. He said, you're doing more than me. He's like, I honestly can't answer that question. And I'm just like, I just wasted money. No, but here's the thing. But I wasn't even upset, because he said, wow, you're doing better than me. That's great. I can't even answer that question. That right there says a lot, because it overrode what I went through with that other teacher at LIU. You know, so for another teacher to say, wow, I don't know, you're doing it, I have no idea, that shows me, like, man, like you really cannot give into people words, you know. So just, I don't know, that I won't say that class was useless. I still have the book, obviously. I don't even look at it, but you know, just I really tried my best to educate myself in the field that I was working in. Right. So it really took the experience. So it didn't just stop there with that group. I just had to just keep doing my own research, really, and just speaking to people, going to networking events, and, you know, just build myself as a serious businesswoman, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because it's different now, to really show everyone that this is, you know, this is what I do, you know,
Okay.
so I get paid doing it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you start your own PR business.
My own
And okay. And so how did I know that you said you got a lot of pushback from a lot of family and
yeah.
friends like that. So tell me about how from okay, so of course at first they didn't understand it. They didn't like want you to do it. And then now you have a successful business. How are they talking now? Like what do they think about it now?
Now it's like it's one of those like, okay, she's really doing it now,
Yeah.
you know. So at first, I'm pretty sure in their mind they're probably thinking like, oh, she doesn't know what she wants to do. She's just doing it just to do it. They like a lot of things were changing at the time because at the time I was 28 years old. So they my thoughts on religion was changing, how I felt about a lot of things were changing, how I felt about work, you know, my time. Oh man, my time was so precious. I didn't want to waste my time for anyone. So you know, so they were looking at it as if like I was they was looking at it as they thought I was depressed. They thought I was making the wrong decision for my life. I got it from teachers as well. Like, you sure you want to do that? Like, this is
Yeah.
what you do, you know? But I'm like I'm never going to put myself in a position where I'm going to completely like, you know, fall where you're going to sit there and laugh at me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, y'all could laugh at me now, but I'm still moving. You
Yeah.
know, I'm still progressing. I may not know all the steps how to get there. Even if I was to ask someone, I wouldn't even get the response. You know, I wouldn't get the response. But like there, you know, a lot of people, especially like some family, they were looking at it as like, you know, she doesn't know what she wants to do. A lot of them felt like, oh, because you know God is not on her side, that's why, you know, I was getting all of these religious, like all these people that's like supposedly in God, in, you know, supposed to believe in God, saying how God is not in it, that's why you know you're not. Don't they, I'm like, don't you know when you start a business it's not easy, it's you know, the hardest is like one of the hardest things to do, but it's like if I could get through teaching I could do this, you
Right.
know. So I was getting that a lot. I was getting you know, that I'm not serious with my life, blah blah blah. I was just getting
Yeah.
all this
And
stuff.
so I'm pretty sure a lot of the listeners can also relate when you first start out with the business. I know for me, a lot of times I was just like, afraid of what people would say about me doing this, or they probably think, oh, this is another thing she's starting or
Yeah,
whatever, because it seems, unstable. But I feel like the
right.
journey is important because one thing leads to the next and the next thing
Exactly.
leads to something else. And so it's
It
very
does.
important to go through that process and to, just kind of, fail forward. So,
Yeah, yeah.
I
And
think
you know
it's,
what? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
you can go ahead.
And you know what? There's a period in entrepreneurship or when you're starting something new where you have to isolate yourself a little bit because you're trying to figure it out. So
Mm-hmm.
stop asking all of these questions. When are you gonna do? When are you gonna do? I'm really trying to figure it out. But it's like you can't outwardly say it because they already look down on you. So you can't say, I don't know, I'm gonna figure out. You gotta kind of like put up a facade like, you know, I'm doing this, I'm trying, you know, but here and there, like, you know, I was still, you know, trying to push myself, but still I was scaling back a little bit because I'm looking at all of those who are not really trying to help me. You know, if you're not trying to help me, why are we having this conversation? You know, I know you mean well, especially, you know, for my parents, they mean well. They want, the thing is, your parents want you to succeed. They do not want to see you suffer, especially when they came from a background of them working hard, so hard to provide for you, and that they see that you're going backwards. They may not see your vision,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to keep, you know, your vision, so
Mm-hmm.
you have to keep moving forward to that vision and towards your goal, where no matter what, you can't be unwavering from what you want to do. It's hard, it's easier said than done. It's hard, but it just took a whole lot of me to just like, okay, I know this is what I'm gonna do. I messed, man. I dropped this job, so I cannot, you know, I'm not going back to it.
Right.
I'm not going back to it. So I'm gonna make whatever it gotta work. I gotta make it work one way or another. So I've been through the journey where I did side jobs. Did I worked? I did like small record labels, learning, trying to get experience even more. At that time, and just doing little things just so I could make it.
Yeah.
Especially when you're coming from a job where you're making a lot of money, or to you making almost nothing. You kind of and before then I had expenses that was like, man, my lifestyle could support what I was making. But now when you're not making as much, it's like, dang, like,
Yeah.
okay, I
You gotta
gotta,
scale back on some things. But
oh yeah,
but it's all worth it in the end because
yeah,
you're able to do a lot more than before. And sometimes I think we're afraid to let go of a lot of things because you
hmm,
don't know if you're going to be able to make it in the
right,
future.
I,
And so you're like, well, it feels better to stay in that comfort place
yeah,
than to take a risk and step out there not knowing if it's going to pay off or not. But
right,
it's very important, and you see that in so many successful people, is that they
hmm,
weren't afraid to let those things go. And so
yeah, you
they believed in themselves. And sometimes, like a lot of people, I wrote a blog post on this before. I haven't always had that confidence to where I believed in myself, but
of us,
the thing
yep,
is, you can't let that stop you either.
exactly,
You
exactly,
can't let that stop you either. And
yeah,
so,
yeah,
and I used to feel like when things didn't work out, when you were talking about the God thing, that if anything didn't go the way that I wanted to, it was, God punishing me. And so I
uh,
think that's just one of the things that we're taught, a lot of religious
but
people
yes,
at a younger age, and it stays with you.
it
And so,
it sticks with you,
yeah.
yes, absolutely,
Yeah,
and
so you have to make sure that, those negative thoughts, those limiting things, challenge them and say, well, that doesn't even go with what God's character is. You know what I'm saying?
right,
So
right.
that can't be right. But just know that there are going to be periods when you're starting out, and even
You're gonna
successful
feel
businesses,
alone, yeah, you're
you
gonna
still
feel,
have periods where you go
of
through
course,
and it's not exactly like you want to, especially when you're
yeah,
expanding and creating new things. So just
absolutely.
moving forward with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a lot of things and that goes for a lot of times when people tell you about started business, they don't expand on the moments when you're going to feel like, man, like this is really digging deep in my pockets, like I don't have the money to do this, or but you cannot allow that to stop you, even if you have to like really scale back and really think and just iron out a few things, how you're going to move a certain way. You just have to keep going. There are times when because one thing about public relations was so important is about networking. And, when I go to these events, like I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, I don't have the money to go to the event.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I don't have certain things that I need, but you have to make it with whatever you have, make it work with what you have,
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of networking events that's free,
Mm-hmm.
and you could meet some valuable people there. And that's what I started with, work, just me and these people, and just knowing that it's not always going to be this way.
Right.
You're going to these moments where you're going to feel like, dag, this is really difficult, but don't feel like it's not meant for you to do it.
Right.
So if you have the dream and it's planted in your heart and your mind already, as you're acting out the dream, yes, there's going to be moments where it's extremely difficult, but that doesn't mean that you stop.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to keep going. And that's the difference between those who really go after and those who just go step halfway and then they give up.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So you now have a successful business, your own business. You're doing your own thing, and you
yeah,
also created a program for the youth. And I
yes,
love what it's about. So you can just tell
mhm,
us about Bold Minds and why you
yes.
created that.
Yes. Okay. So Bone Minds is an acronym for Minds. We use it as mind, but
Mm-hmm.
it's an acronym for maximizing youth's nobility, drive, and success. So it's basically encourage them to obviously be bold, because that's something that I learned that's so important, and that's how people's gonna learn to trust you and to want to work with you and to take you serious as well, and to motivate them to pursue what they want and not allow anything or anyone to hold them back. So our one of our main focus is to expose them to non-traditional careers and activities that they may not have considered. So a lot of the youth, like even throughout my years of being a teacher, and the times when I'm not in the classroom, I've been always speaking to the youth, like in group chats with kids in middle school and high school. And I'm here, like, I'm this age, I'm older than them, like, 31 years old. And I'm here still speaking to these kids, and I could relate to them and still communicate with them. And it started with every summer, we would just go on trips. And then I'm here, like, now, you know what, let me just take it a little bit more, on a different scale or a different level. So I would bring in people to come and speak to them. Like just last week, we had Cardi B's DJ Sparks, who came and he spoke to them about his journey, and he was so real about it.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't only give the glitz and glamour of working in the industry, being a DJ in the industry, but he told them his journey with education, how important education is, and self-education as well. And just going to trade school, college may not be for everyone. And it's not for everyone. So finding what you're into and go for it, because a lot of the kids, especially in the group that I have, a lot of Haitian kids, their parents are pushing them into the nursing. If you don't have that love for nursing, are you gonna be happy being in it in
Mm-hmm.
15 years? We have some of them that want to be lawyers. Go ahead and be that lawyer. But
Yeah.
then we have that parents are pushing them to be lawyers when they cannot. They just don't want to do it.
Exactly.
You
I talked
know?
about that in the first episode of this series about how I'm in the healthcare field, and it's a
Right.
safe job, but you would be
Yes.
surprised how many people are not happy. Like
Right.
they're not
Yes.
happy because they took that safe route and they have a lot of creative ideas
Yes.
and things like that, but no, you'll find a lot of them complaining. Like you said, the
Mm-hmm.
teacher that you were working with, they would complain and gripe, and not
Right.
because they're not happy, but they
Yeah.
weren't taking actions on the things that they really were passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I found out about your program, I loved it so much because I think
Yes.
it's so important to instill that into our youth today, that you don't have to be, the only way to be successful is not by being a doctor,
Right.
or you know what I'm saying, or by
And yes, that's so true. And that's the part of the S in minds, the success part. I encourage them to define what success means to them. I don't tell them the definition of success. The only thing is, like, what is successful to you, because being successful to me is a different meaning for them. So I don't want them to measure how, one person is successful, so they got to get to that level, and it's going to kill them if they
mm-hmm,
try to be somebody else.
mm-hmm,
So it's like, through my experience, not only my experience, from me learning and listening to other people experiences, I'm just telling them, like, listen, you just have to be you. What is motivating you to do what you want to do, and just having that drive to keep going, because life will throw its, good and bad at you. So it's how you handle the
mm-hmm.
situations, how you deal with it. What is your drive to keep going? So it's just to get them to understand what they love to do and just keep going at it.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so I know you work with the youth. What ages do you work with?
Between ages 13 to 20, but my oldest person that I've mentored is 23.
Okay.
So, but she has her book club. She has a book club with Mynds. She actually graduated from SUNY O Westbury with her bachelor's in English.
Nice.
So yeah, so I'm having her have her book club. It's a dynamic book club that she's bringing. She always loved reading,
Okay.
So yeah, and she studied pre-law. So
Nice.
she's still trying to figure out what she wants to do with that, how she's gonna go about it. So
Yeah.
she's yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
so I know you work with the youth, but this is an important concept that I think anybody can learn from. Do you think it's that there may be an age where you're too old to pursue your passions?
Nope. No, not at all. Not at all. It's never too old. I thought I was too old. Like I started all of this at 28. I'm 31 right now. I thought I was too old, but no, not at all. You could be 40, 50 years old going
Mm-hmm.
after what you want to. But you know what's so great about being older? That you're not going to just take crap from anybody. You know yourself well enough that you're not going to have to experience all the troubles that the younger people started with, or is starting, what they go through as they're, starting the entrepreneurial journey.
Mm-hmm.
You want certain, because you know yourself so well and you know how people are. You could sense it. You could tell when someone is being legitimately real with you, and showing you that real care and love, and those who are really being fake, or just coming being around you just to be around you because of what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Being older, there's a wisdom, and there's something that's just so authentic with it, so you know what you want. So the age, no, there is no age limit to go after what you want to do, your dream,
Yeah.
so it's, and the thing is, if you don't go after your dream, it's just going to stay a dream, so you have to really tackle it, and we know the reality that not everything that you want will come into the way you see it. But if you don't go after it, how would you know?
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, sometimes the way you imagine things is going to come out even better than what it is that you've imagined.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, just definitely not going after it. I feel like spending time away from it will be more detrimental than it is you doing it.
Right.
So spending time away from you not doing what you want or what you dreamed of doing is gonna hurt you even more. You
Right.
know, you're we keep going back to this, but the whole bitterness. You're
Mm-hmm.
gonna be angry. You're gonna be angry at people for no reason. It's gonna show all over your face of you being upset, and it's gonna come to a point you're not even gonna know why you're upset. It's
Yep.
because you're not happy. It's because you're not happy. And I've seen these. I've worked with people like this, and it's hard. And the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, because I'm so keen with spirituality, I see this. It's like, I know why you're upset. I know why you're yelling at these kids. I know why you're such a bitter teacher, or such a bitter administrator, or upset person, period, in your workplace, is because you're not living your best life.
Mm-hmm.
That's why. So you, regardless of whatever age it is, go and do it.
Yeah, we definitely have a responsibility to pursue those passions and those dreams. And so
Yeah.
I love what you're doing, and I want to be able to get support to you. How
Yes.
can anybody that's listening help out with your organization that you have with Bold Minds?
Oh, yes. We're taking donations. You could email me at bullminds@gmail.com. You could definitely give me a call. You could follow us on Instagram, Bullminds, BOLDMYNDS. Yeah, you could definitely get in contact with me through there.
Yeah. Well, thank
Yes.
you so much. Thank you for coming on and sharing your story. I just wanted to let a lot of people know that, from somebody who is experienced having a safe career and just moving
Yes.
on, stepping out of your comfort zone, and
Mhm.
even though you got a lot of pushback from a lot of the people who were close to you, you were
Yes.
still able to create something that is successful and that
Yes.
does create a lot of value in the world. So just thank you for coming on and sharing your story.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and to share my journey, and everything that I went through to get to where I am now. And I'm just grateful for the support that I've had over the years, and I'm grateful for people like you, Adrian, to have this platform to allow others to hear what they can do to move forward in life and to live their best self.
For sure, for sure.
Mhm.
Well, thank you. That was so awesome. I hope you guys really enjoyed the show today. I am just inspired, and I hope you found yourself inspired and motivated to never settle for safe. If you'd like to donate to Bold Minds and invest back into our youth, you can do so by going to the show notes. I'll have everything posted as to how you can get in touch with Soledad, and I know she would really, really appreciate it. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show. It just helps with exposure, and we want to get this message out to as many people as we can. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.